Welcome to the Sourcing Challenge talk show. This is a new format. You might have seen our interview show, which has been running the last couple of years, but we wanted to do something different. So this is a new format for us. And what we're going to try is, as often as possible, try to do it every week. But if you know me, you know as well that could be hit or miss. But what this will be is maybe a bit shorter show than what the interview show has been. But with some of the same people. So I wanted to introduce myself and my co-host on this lovely show for anybody who has not seen us before. So my name is Mark Lundgren. I'm one of the co-founders of the Sourcing Challenge. And for the last couple of years, been working on interviewing sources from around the world about how they got started and how they actually, learn and what they're doing now. My co-founder, Aaron, is with me here. And then, Sofia is also with us. And I'll let both of them introduce themselves if you have not watched the interviews with both of them. But these are going to be our regular co-hosts. And then what we might do is get some of the people that we have been interviewing in interview show on the show once in a while if there's something interesting coming up. So, I will let Sofia go first as the...
Ladies first.
As the ladies first, after me, of course. Introduce yourself, especially for the people that might have watched your interview. What's been going on with you from I think it's 2 years ago soon.
Yeah, okay. For those who don't know me, I'm Sofia Broveo. I'm a freelance tech recruiter located in Stockholm, Sweden. And I was on the show 2 years ago when I was at Bonnier Broadcasting or TV4. But since then, I've started just recently at Boca Boca, a small game studio in Stockholm, creating digital toys for kids. And I'm absolutely loving it there. It's such a creative space. Just the whole atmosphere is awesome, and the creativeness is obviously helping me then be more creative in what we can do in terms of recruitment and how to attract people to us as an employer, candidate engagement, and all of that. Just the environment is helping me with all of that.
That's good. And Aaron Lintz, for people who don't know you or want to know what's been going on with you the last couple of years as well.
Sourcer based in Florida. I'm working for ThoughtWorks, primarily on the North America team, a little bit on global. Actually kind of moving a little bit more into enablement, working to help our teams just run better. So trying to fix all of the potential pitfalls that happen and things that happen in communication, collaboration, kind of breaking down all those barriers. So just helping our team be successful.
That's good. Yeah, I think what's the red kind of thread going through with all three of us since since the interviews and since we started the Sourcing Challenge is that we've all kind of gotten more and more into the training aspect of it. So both like Sofia and I doing the live training, and with Aaron, I know we're going to talk about that a bit later as well with some of the online training that we've been doing on the Sourcing Challenge, and that we definitely going to be continuing with. Just to kind of, I talked a bit about what the talk show will be. The format that I'm hoping that we're going to have is really much pick out, whenever we do the show every week or every couple of weeks, to pick out some of the news stories about what's been going on in the sourcing world. Some of the things that we know we might have a different perception of, or things that is timely for now. We're not always going to talk about LinkedIn or how LinkedIn has been down this week or whatever that is. You might actually hear a lot about LinkedIn, but it's going to be about, what else can you do if not on LinkedIn? I think both Sofia and I talk a lot about that. Aaron is the expert on how to use LinkedIn effectively, but definitely also it's like when it breaks, how can we get around it? So I think you'll hear a lot of stories around that. But at the same time, we know as well, there's like, look, tips and tricks is what we live off and from. So you're going to get a lot of that as well. And we're going to try to find the best news out there from what we like and that we like to read ourselves and put that out there. It's not going to be as long as the interview show, so you're not going to have to sit through a lot of 45-minute ones, which is good for me because it means I'm not going to have a lot of 2-hour ones that I have to cut down, like I've done with some of the interview shows. So we're going to keep them a bit shorter and just get a few stories up there. And when it makes sense for us to get some guests on that might have some insights to it, or if it's specific people that's been in the news from our industry, actually get them on to give us a bit more background on that. And yeah, that's one of the reasons as well, other than that I just like working with both Aaron and Sofia. But one of the reasons I wanted to get Sofia on as well is that one of the things that's been going on that I've been looking at is your recent move in terms of the company you work with and your brilliant article series, which to date is part 1 and 2. And I think everybody's looking forward to part 3. But yeah, maybe talk a bit about your mini series on how to be a one-person recruitment team, Sofia.
Yeah, when I was at TV4, I was the sole recruiter there as well. And the situation at Talkshow is I'm the sole recruiter, I'm the recruitment manager, and I'm the recruitment team pretty much. And I quite enjoy that position. I'm a bit of a control freak and and things like that. So I quite like having the decision making done by me and not having to kind of check in with too many other people. But at the same time, I can't do everything by myself. So there's things that you can do to kind of help out. I can't do absolutely everything. And I did a talk about this actually at TechRec in Berlin in November that I felt was good. And I think I got quite a good response with that. So I thought, how can I put into context of my new role at Talkshow and talk about what have I been doing in my first time being a one-person recruitment team, and how do you need to set things up to be able to be successful as a one-person recruitment team. And to my mind, there's kind of 3 aspects of that, and that's collaboration. Obviously, you're one person, but you can't do everything by yourself. So you need to collaborate well with hiring managers and kind of other HR personnel and things like that. So the first part was about that collaboration aspect. Part 2 is automation, because obviously when you're one person doing everything, time is of the essence. You need to speed things up, and automation does that a lot. So the second part was about automation, mainly talking about Zapier, which is like my favorite tool for automating little tasks that altogether add up, taking a lot of your time. And Calendly, with the whole kind of, rather than going back and forth, when can you do a phone call at 3? No, I can't do 3. Can you do 2? No, but he can't. So Calendly is like my new best friend. I absolutely love it. It saves me so much time. So that was kind of part 2. And part 3, which is currently in my brain, that needs to come out within the next few days because it's meant to be due out Monday. It's more about optimizing, like how can we really make sure that we don't have 8 million steps in our interview process? How can we make sure that there isn't anything unnecessary being done, that we're kind of going, but that to me is a little bit more in the future, because within the first month or 2, you kind of still getting to know the workings of the company, and the optimizing everything is going to come a little bit later down the road, but it's kind of what plans and what will I be looking at. So part 3 will be more looking a little bit more into the future.
Sounds good. And of course, we'll be linking to, well, part 1 and 2 definitely in the show notes for this episode. And as soon as part 3 comes out as well for that. And I'm looking forward to seeing that. Very good. The next part of the kind of show is what I call this shameless self-promotion. Normally, I would get Aaron to give an update, but I know that that's part of it as well. Aaron, I know that since your show, a lot of what you've been working on has been the sourcing challenge training, so the online piece of what we've done. So maybe tell us a bit about that, and because that leads in perfectly to the shameless self-promotion piece as well.
Yeah, sure. found the opportunity with Podia. So it's a great tool. So it's sourcingchallenge.podia.com, and that has PODIA, and that has access to the different courses. So there's a 30-minute course, I believe, which is just a kind of recording of talking through some sessions, and then I have a full advanced session. And what I'm working on is obviously updating it. A lot of it is really cutting edge technology type of sourcing, and unfortunately things like Meetup have changed. There have been a few, I want to say setbacks, but when it comes to technology, it's a cat and mouse game. So some things have changed, and other things, opportunities, I've learned how to make things more efficient. So I'm updating the content, updating the documentation, and I hope to be releasing some new things in the very near future. So probably in the first year.
And for the people who who haven't heard Aaron speak, or kind of been on some of the webinars, what we're talking about is sourcing at conferences, which in the good old days meant we were looking for attendee list that somehow got leaked through an Excel sheet or something like that. But that gets prohibitively more and more difficult, and it's a lot of times in closed ecosystems. But what Aaron has been working on for the last 4 years pretty much is how to kind of get into the different conference apps and conference software to get those attendee lists without going in and having to hack things. But what are the open things that makes that you can actually go in and get those attendee lists without necessarily having to be at those conferences and pay some very big sponsorship or attendee deals. So yeah, I very much like working with Aaron on getting that recorded. I learned a lot as well, and something like I use every day. But yeah, just like with everything else, technology in our industry, things break very quickly once, when it has anything to do with security or us getting information. We like scraping things, and sometimes that gets changed. And Meetup was one of those things that it used to be a lot easier, and now we have to go through a couple of more hoops, but that's what it is.
Easy. I say Meetup scraping's easy, and then you just put a zap on it and it keeps it up to date. There you go.
Well, you got that. You got that automation. It's a brilliant stuff. Zapier is
Zapier and Meetup connection. Love it.
That sounds good. For you, Sofia, your piece of shameless self-promotion, where can people find you, and other than reading your article about starting with Tokaboka?
Yeah, you can find my articles on my website, but in terms of shameless self-promotion, I'm running Sourcing Skolan, which literally translates to Sourcing School. And in April, I'll be in Gothenburg and Malmö in the south of Sweden. In March, 9th of March, it'll be in Stockholm, and I'm actually hosting that one in English, as there's been a demand, people asking. There's a lot of recruiters here in Stockholm who don't speak Swedish, so they want training in English. And we're also doing a session in Umeå in April as well. So March, April, I'm going to keep busy. But then, Mark, what's our mutual shameless self-promotion then, Mark?
Funny you should ask. For anybody who has been following Sofia and myself the last couple of months, even going back from the interview, like we basically met through the interview for this show. I didn't know Sofia before we interviewed. She somehow managed to win a ticket for SOSCON in Budapest when that was there 2 years ago. And as part of that, I thought, well, look, I need to know this person who's going to be my speaker buddy. So we did the interview and become very good friends since, to the point where we're now running live trainings together. Our first foray into that was Copenhagen it was cold in November, where we had a really nice group of very experienced people and like people who in various different industries, going through kind of a basic sourcing training. We learned a lot from it, and I managed to get to a hotel that I always looked at when I was growing up in Denmark, and it's that kind of hotel that you're like, one day I'm going to be in there. So having training there was brilliant, and we decided to come to Barcelona, but to kind of up the game in terms of what we wanted to focus on. So take it to the next level, and we're doing advanced sourcing training. So for the ones of you where, bullying is not something you need to learn, you understand that looking outside of LinkedIn is part of the game, but you want to take it to the next level. And that means the automation pieces that Sofia is talking about, but also looking at, where do you look in different places? How do you gather more information? And the big thing that kind of what I believe in, that's going to be the big thing in 2020 is about engaging these people. Like, how do we actually get to talk to them? Finding the information is one thing, but how do we actually get the people to talk to us? So we're going to focus more on that. So it's going to be a lot about scraping, automation, and how to contact people in different ways.
Again, like you were saying, the engagement is finding the information is one thing. Then how do we use that information to our advantage, and how do we use that to get in touch? And to my mind, it's not just about, okay, I need Java developers, here's 100 Java developers. It's going, which ones out of these Java developers would be interested in this job I have? How can I find out that? How can I find out what interests them? And because it isn't just about what code they are using, it's about what kind of problems are they going to be solving, what kind of, things triggers them. Do they want to work on things that help society, or they want to, do they want to do complex server issues, or do they work more the front end stuff, or what kind of complex, what type of problems gets them going? And that's what you need to find out to understand if the job that I have on offer is right for this person. So kind of getting that first, and that's the person to reach out to, not just because they happen to have a skill, but what interests do they have?
Yeah. So if you found yourself in Barcelona on the 26th of March, our advanced sourcing training will be there. I'll put a link to that in the show notes, of course. What we also have decided is on the 27th, for the people who think like, look, that Copenhagen training sounded more for what I was looking for. I'm not quite as confident in the bullying as I would hope to be, or actually getting off of LinkedIn and looking in other places is just something that's, still I need to look at. Then we do have our normal kind of training on the day after as well. So I'll put link to both of them in the show notes. For the North American audience, I know as well, in the last kind of 6 months, 9 months, we've been working with Social Talent in Ireland to bring back. So when I started as a sourcer 6-7 years ago, I think Aaron is, about the same. The kind of place you go to back then to get training was Social Talent in terms of sourcing training. And at that point, it was live training. Like the online one came later. And I was kind of missing that because I always wanted to go. I remember they were in Copenhagen and in Stockholm back then, and I've never kind of got a chance to do that. So I was speaking to the guys at Social Talent and said, look, why don't you do your boot camps anymore? And for them, it's a manpower thing. It's like, their online platform is now the main thing that they're doing, and it's not just sourcing anymore. So we got an agreement with them that we start running these boot camps. We do have a plan to actually come to North America. So Aaron and I are working together and to being able to actually deliver that. The content from Social Talent, obviously updated with our stories and with a lot of the new things and new technology that's coming on. But at the same time, after the kind of live training, still have access to what used to be that kind of black belt in internet recruitment certification that Social Talent delivered, and be able to get that, which is still one of the only kind of industry standards in terms of, this is what you kind of need to know as a basic sourcer. So we're still looking at kind of when to have open courses in the US, but if you're sitting with a recruitment sourcing team in North America and you're thinking that's something that we would really like to have for our team, get in contact with us, and then we'll figure out a time this year where Aaron and I can come and train your team and do that from a Social Talent bootcamp point of view. So I'll put a link to that as well, or just read back out to us. I think that's what we have. Thank you both for jumping on this call with me. I hope everybody likes this format. Let us know if there's something you're missing, or things that you would like to have, or just like us. If you know of people who should watch this show or our interview show, please share it with them as well. And see you soon when we're back again. Thank you both for being here.
Bye.